Good afternoon, fellow Democrats. How are you doing? So we continue with the standing committee, guys. We're looking at now it's Amos Chibaya. So let's look at the first point and let's look at his duties as per the Constitution. So the point that we're looking at, the first one talks about him being in charge of elections of the executives in the provincial executive, right? So that means he's in charge of the provincial elections, right? So I'm going to park this point for now, but I'll come back to it just before the last point. Then I will rate it, because if I rate it now, it won't make sense. In other words, this point I'm not going to rate it in isolation. It has to be rated with the other duties, other responsibilities provided by the Constitution. I cannot rate it in isolation. Okay. So thank you so much. So the first point talks about him being responsible for all elections. This is the ward election. Starting from the branch, the ward, the district election. He has to supervise, he has to monitor, he has to make sure that there are elections. Okay, so how did he do here in this point? Okay, as far as I know, and with the call that I made, Mr. Amos Chibaya did not do a good job. There were no ward elections in many wards. There were no district elections in many districts. As you saw some time ago on social media, there was a clip doing rounds from National West, I think, where structures were being written inside private houses. This issue of structures being written in private houses was widespread all over Zimbabwe. Not every ward, not every district election. For example, I can give you a good example of the chaos that happened in Bulawayo and the chaos that happened in Marondera Central, right? There was an issue with the lists. They did not agree with the list that was provided. And this is why we couldn't have the Congress the provincial Congress take place in Bulawayo, because there was an issue with the structures. So that means the structures were not being done well. So that means there were no elections. There were no elections at ward level, at district level. Hence, the delegates failed to agree on the list that was provided. I can give you one good example. In Ward 11 in Zengeza West, there were no congresses. There was no election at that ward. In many wards also in the constituency. Even the district did not do the election. The names were simply written down and they were passed on to Harvest House or Empty House, I suppose. So did Mr. Chibaya do a good job here? He failed. He did not do a good job. He's failing. We saw him at the provincial congresses with his bipolar delegation, but that is the roof. As far as the pillars and the other structures of the house are concerned, there's nothing taking place. There's nothing that is happening. So we have this point here that talks about supervise, coordinate the recruitment of members into the party. This talks about supporters becoming members of the movement, of the party, right? So what we have is the gentleman doing a good job? Again, no, the gentleman is not doing a good job. So many people, they are supporters, they don't know how to register, they don't know how to become a party member, they don't know the processes to take. There's no recruitment taking place. We have so many supporters that want to join the movement, but they cannot join. They don't know how. They are being locked out. In other words, this is why we keep on having the same individuals in the party. It creates then a system, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no recruitment taking place. There's nothing at all. So Mr. Chibaya is not doing a good job here. And I also challenge Mr. Chibaya, if he is doing a job, if he says he's doing a good job here, I challenge him to bring out the register, to bring out his list of members, and then he can say, in 2018 we had 900 members in this ward, but come 2029 we now have 1,600 members. Is he able to do that? If he can't do that, then that means we're not recruiting members into the party. Our supporters are not becoming members of the party. And as far as I'm concerned, with the knowledge that I have, with the call that I made, there's nothing that is going on. There's nothing like that. Honorable Chibaya is not doing a good job here. And again, this is a straight zero. I challenge him to, if he thinks I'm wrong, I challenge him to provide proof, provide the structures, provide the list of members that were there in 2008 and that are there now. Did we improve, did we increase, or did we decrease? So in other words, as far as I'm concerned, and with the information that I have, Mr. Chibaya is not doing a good job. We're not turning our supporters into members. And this is a straight zero again. Move on, and then we talk about the administration of the party structures. Are these structures being administered? In other words, are we saying, are we replacing people? Are we adding people? Let's say in cases of death, in cases of someone resigns, is this going on? Is this happening? I can say this is not happening, because last year when we were doing the audit, we tried to make contact with some of the guys that were in Kai to look for certain voters in certain ward. When we got those numbers from the guys inside Harvest House, we called those numbers only to find out that the gentleman in Pastor were in 2015, and that said gentleman was said to be the chairman of that certain area in Kai South. So we're not auditing our structures, we're not doing a good job, we're not administrating the administration of the structures is weak, rather. There's nothing that is going on. As much as we have structures at the top, at the district and the province, there's nothing at the base, there's nothing that is being done. We're not auditing. We say make sure who's who, when did they join the party, is this person still doing a good job, or can we replace him or her with another young cadre? We're not doing that. So as far as the admin of the structures is concerned, there's nothing that is going on. And again, Mr. Chibaya gets a 0 here again. There's nothing, guys. I'm sure you all know that we don't have structures. We only have structures when there's a congress. That's only when we hear of structures. If we had structures, if we were administrating our structures so well, there wouldn't be issues of us not having polling agents in certain areas, for example, Mashonaland Central and other main areas that we didn't have polling agents. This is the issue, because we don't have structures and we don't administer them. We're not recruiting supporters to be members, and this creates a lot of problems for us. That's why we have nothing. So on this point again, I will score Mr. Chibaya a 0. So the next point talks about establishment of party structures from the branch, the ward, the districts, everything, right? Are the party structures are there party structures? Are we establishing party structures? The MDC, as far as I know, as far as most of you would agree with me, did have structures back then, but now it doesn't have structures. We have structures all over in rural areas, but now we don't have structures in rural areas. And this is widespread, right? A good example is Chilezi North, that area, the Zimbe area, where we lost heavily. In fact, we didn't even have a candidate. There are no structures there. Again, speaking of the audit, when we were trying to audit the election results, we were trying to verify why in certain polling stations there was 100% turnout or 98% turnout, which is very unusual. So we got in touch with the guys from Harvest again, and they referred to guys from Masingo. The guys from Masingo said they didn't have any structures there, they failed to set up structures. In other words, there were no structures in Chilezi North. That's why we didn't have a candidate, and that's why you get those made numbers. So we managed to get hold of a teacher in that area, the Kwabenzi area, and he complained, said MDC never set up structures here. We never have structures, we don't know them. We only see them in newspapers, we only hear about them towards the election. He even said not even posters are here. Then he said it would be good if the party sets up structures here, because the people here also want change, they are suffering. So we know that we don't have structures. We don't have structures even in rural area. What is the problem if we don't have structures? We're not getting new people in. We're not getting new ideas. We're stuck with the same people, right? And again, the issue of polling agent comes in, right? You cannot have a polling agent. You cannot have polling agents in an area where you don't have structures. Take, for example, Chesa in Mount Darun area. When we don't have structures, how do you expect to have polling agents? We also what happened in the last election. It was a chaos. We didn't have polling agents. This is why we failed to have polling agents. There are no structures taking place. Not only is it about rural areas, even in urban areas also. The structures are there on paper, but if you go around and ask these people, do you know this person, the one that is the ward secretary? They will tell you, no, I don't know. I was just made ward chair. We're totally failing on structures, and I wish Mr. Chibaya could do something about the structures, because you are failing. We don't have structures as far as we are concerned, and I'm sure you all know, guys. It's very chaotic. The structures are chaotic. They've never been maintained. You go to rural areas, there's nothing. There's nothing. We're failing to tap into rural areas because we don't have structures. We need to establish structures now for 20 years. You know, as long as we don't have structures in rural areas, we will remain in urban party and we will never test state power. So it is very crucial. It is very important for Mr. Chibaya to ensure that structures are there in rural areas and everywhere that they are functioning. He needs to do his job well. So on this point again, I have to give him a 0. Now the next point talks about supervise and monitor party programs. I try to dig in, I try to make calls to find out which party programs are being referred to in the constitution, right? Because as far as I know, and as far as other members that I contacted know, as far as the other district guys know, we only have rallies towards elections. Then we have demos. Those are the only 2 programs that they know. So in other words, the department, by this department, they are not doing anything on the party programs, because we cannot say we only have rallies and then we have the demos where he just talks and sings. Again, nothing is going on here in the party programs. I don't know any of those guys that are called in the wards in the district. Even I called 3 provinces. The guys that are in the executive, they don't know of any party programs. They're even shocked. What is it? In fact, they don't even know their constitution. They don't even know what is expected of them in the constitution, right? So on party program, I'm not going to waste much time. All I can say is that there are no party programs taking place. We only have rallies. We have demos. That's it. That's when we see Mr. Chibaya. Beyond that, there's nothing. We are not educating our members about the principles, the values, the ethics, the code of conduct of the party. We're not doing that. Mr. Chibaya is not doing that specifically. And again, on this very important point, I give him 0. He's not doing anything. It's not about rallies. It's not about being in demos. There's nothing. There are no party programs. That's a fact. If he has something else that I don't know, he's free to prove it to me, to show it to me, then I'll retract this. But as far as I'm concerned, it is 0. Now we go on to the issue of collecting party membership, right? This is a very big point. In other words, it talks about him collecting all the list of all members in the party. But my question would be, do we even have a membership list in the party? Do we know who's who in such a ward, in such an area? We don't have all that. I'll give you a good example why I'm saying this is not happening, right? Last year we were trying to do our audit of the voters, so we called it Each One Know One campaign. So in other words, we were supposed each supporter of the MDC was supposed to know one person in a particular area, right? So initially we based all our campaign on structures, using the structures within the MDC. But when you approach the MDC, when you approach the party, we discover that they didn't have a database of all their members. In other words, if you say there's a street in Mavuku, we expected that MDC maybe has a database of 2 people in that area that we can contact to say, hey Rumbi, do you know the person who stays next door to you? Right, using the Each One One campaign. But to our surprise, to my shock, otherwise there was nothing. The MDC does not have a database of its members. They are not collecting, they are not gathered, they are not doing anything, they are not collecting a list of members, right, or giving out membership. And again, it goes back to the other point that I raised earlier on, that we're not recruiting supporters into the party, making them members. So then you cannot have a list of members when you're not recruiting. In other words, there's nothing that you would do. There's nothing in MDC. They don't even know how many supporters they have in Mavuku. They don't even know how many supporters they have in Masungo, in which area, in which ward, where does this person stay, what is their contact number. So that when they need something, they can call, they can rely on these people. They don't have that. When they need volunteers, you can rely on these people to say, so and so, my room, can you assist us with this? We have a function. Do you want to assist us? They don't have anything like that. There's no list. There's no database, and he's in charge of the database. So what becomes of this now? If he doesn't have this database, this is the usage of these members. This is the real risk that the party is carrying. How then do we verify to say so and so has been in the party for 5 years and now they can contest as a councillor or as an MP? We cannot verify that because we don't have them in the system. How do you know that someone is paying up their subscription fees? We don't know because we don't have anyone in the system. We don't have anyone in our database, right? So there's nothing that is going on. And again, here Mr. Chibaya is failing. He's failing on this point. And if you link this point to the recruitment, you actually see that it makes sense. Because if you're not recruiting, then how can you have a list? Right? There's nothing. And the danger also, we're talking about a system within the MDC, right? This is where the system comes in, whereby you have the same people every time, right? If they ask for representative or a delegate from National and Central, you get the same people every year, every 5 years for the Congress. You're creating a system, you're not bringing in new people, right? So again, on this point of party collecting and gathering a list of party members, I'll give him a 0 again. He's not doing a good job. He doesn't even know what he's doing. There's nothing. It's chaos. It's disorder. So I'm giving him a straight 0 again on this point. So now we move on to the next point. It talks about him being responsible for party programs, implementation of party programs, advocacy, including all activities aimed at achieving the party's long-term and short-term goals. I don't know if this is going on. I've tried to ask people, they didn't really give me a clear answer. So, to be fair on the gentleman, I will not waste much time here. I will just assume that he's doing his job, because I don't have enough information and I want to give everything that I have. So if where I don't have information, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'll say on this part, I'll just score him 1 point. I assume he's doing the job. He's doing it well. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one. It talks about him being in charge of a program to educate members on the values of the party. Right? This is a very interesting program, subject or responsibility rather. So how do you teach your members the values of the party if you don't have a membership list? Is it possible? Do you know who's in certain ward, in certain branch, that you can say, guys, we are meeting on a Saturday at 10 a.m. to talk about the constitution of the party? You can't. That's impossible. Or even if you try, okay, let's say he's doing technology, he's going to broadcast on Facebook. I haven't seen a broadcast from him educating the masses on the constitution of the MDC. This is where educating the members on the constitution comes into play. Most of our membership, majority of them, they don't even know the constitution. That's why you're seeing all these nominations, they are almost the same. They are nominating Mr. Chibaya because he can sing, he has been seen at rallies. They don't know his core responsibilities as far as the constitution is concerned. They don't know because no one is teaching them. He's failing to be the lecturer, he's failing to be the teacher here. So, as far as I know, he's not doing anything there. There are no programs to educate members on the values of the party. That's why you end up having rebels, people contesting in wards that they don't belong to, or having double candidates, for example, because they don't know the values of the party. They don't know the code of conduct for the party. You know, it's very unfortunate that most of the delegates that are electing people, they are doing it for themselves instead of doing it for a certain area, for a certain ward. Because once you're a delegate, by definition, you represent the interests of the others. You don't represent your own interest. So in other words, when it comes to this point, there's no education that is taking place. I've never heard of any MDC guy saying they are going for training to be trained on the constitution to get more insight into the party's values and principles. There's nothing. They are not doing that. So Mr. Chibaya, again, on this very important point, he scores a 0. If he got a better argument, or asking people to use a register of where the department carried out training sessions, who did they train, where, what did they train, what was the topic, you know, there's nothing. It's not happening. It's just not going on, right? So again, on this very important point of educating the members, I'll give him a straight 0. So I'm going back to the first point now that talks about him conducting provincial elections, right? I remember I skipped it because I wanted to list these other points, but I didn't want to rate it in isolation. So if you go back to this point that talks about him conducting provincial elections, right? Yes, we are seeing him there, we are seeing him all over. He's all over the show. We saw him in Gweru, Matebele North, South, Marsh West, right? Marsh East, he's there, he's all over, he's doing these provincial elections, right? But my question then is, you doing provincial elections, right? You are seen there with the big delegation with the president, right? But this is the roof only. You're worried about the roof, you're roofing your house so nicely, right? But the pillars are weak. How can you conduct provincial elections when the same people that are making up those districts, that province, are made of fake lists, are made of people that were taken from Norway? You know, when I say from Norway, I mean these lists were written in private homes. When you were not there for the ward election, ward congresses, when you were not there for the district congresses, why do you even bother to be there at national or rather provincial congresses? That's a lie. You're just trying to save your face. You're just trying to appear as if you're working, but you're not working. Because as far as I'm concerned, how do you know that what makes up that district is legit? Because you're not there. You don't have the registers to prove it. You don't know who attended. You're not even so sure of who won, right? So this is the candidate that we have. So as far as the best is not right, as far as the wards are not right, the districts are not right, then it means the province is a problem also. That's why you hear stories of same people retaining same positions again, because they just put their bodies in districts. Those bodies in those districts will just go and nominate and vote them in the province. This is a real problem. So on this point, which was about the first point, I'll rate him 0 again. Why am I rating him 0? Because the wards, the branches, the district congresses were all not supervised. If they were supervised, maybe 3 or 4, just to save face. If they were supervised, if there were people there, if he was there, he can produce the media, publish it. We know MDC loves to put everything on social media. We didn't see this. That means it was not done. The job was not done. So whether you are seen at the provincial congress rather, with your iPod delegation doing everything, for me it counts for nothing, because you're worried about the roof, but what about the base, right? The house that you're standing on is no foundation. The wards are in tatters, the districts are in tatters. You didn't do congresses there. You're only worried about the provincial congress, which is ridiculous in its own way. So we cannot manage like that. It's just to change. So on this very important point, I'll give him a 0 again. So now I'll move on to the last point. This talks about him being the master of ceremony at all party functions, be it rallies, national conferences, the Congress, right? As far as Mr. Chibaya is known, he can sing, he can dance, he can rev up the crowds. I don't think there are any issues there. He's a man who knows his job when it comes to singing and energizing the best. That is his best. That is tops. He can do it without any worries, anything hindrance. He's good. He can sing. Is good. On this point, the last point, I'm not taking anything away from you. I'll give him my point also. I'll give him my full point, which is 1 point, right? So that makes it 2 out of 10. So my score for Mr. Chibaya is 2 out of 10, right? Why am I saying it's 2 out of 10? Because Mr. Chibaya's job is very strategic. Think of him as the human resources director for a big and big organization. Think of Mr. Chibaya as the human resources of Anglo God, right? With operations in different areas. This is a big portfolio. It's not about him sitting at rallies, being seen at rallies. It's a very massive portfolio. And the core of his job is to do structures, right? As long as he's not doing structures, he's messing it up. And with what is going on right now, the chaos in Blawayo, the chaos in Maronda Central, their district elections, the chaos in Zengeza, it means Mr. Chibaya is not doing his job. That's why I scored him a 2. I don't hear the guy, nothing personal against him, but he's failing his job. When you fail your job, you have to move away, you have to step down. I know he's a popular guy, he's loved, right? But he's loved for the wrong reason. He's loved for his singing skills. In other words, I would say Mr. Chibaya and comrade Chinks from ZANU-PF, they're in the same league. They can sing, but they cannot execute. That's why ZANU-PF maybe didn't have Chinks in their structures. Sorry to say this, may you rest in peace, Mr. Chinks. So when it comes to Mr. Chibaya, I don't think he's good. I know he's leading on nominations. He's probably going to get the post as a challenge. But is he a good person? No. He cannot do this job. We need strategic people here. There's a good guy, Dr. Victor Chitunu. Yeah, the one who Chitunu, something like that. The one who Zimbabwe had Zoga. That guy is the guy that can do a better job than Chibaya. It's unfortunate he's not in the MDC, but if you're looking for the best person to compare Mr. Chibaya to, you have to compare him to the likes of Dr. Victor. Dr. Victor set up Zimbabwe at Zoga all over in rural areas, right? We don't see that from MDC, we don't see that from Mr. Chibaya. So Mr. Chibaya, I'm very sorry, but nothing personal. You don't deserve that post. You need to learn a lot. You have a lot to learn. Thank you so much, guys. I hope I see you on the next installment. God bless you. Bye.